Howdy, it's Mitchell from DIYGhostHunting.com, and today we're going to build what is erroneously usually called an EMF pump or an EM pump or electromagnetic pump. That's not what it is. It's a magnetic field pump, which is still putting out energy, and that kind of interests me. So I'll tell you a little bit about what got me interested in it. The first thing was that ghosts are always associated with electrical events. You've seen lights come on and lights will go off. We live in an 1861 home called The Grove, where ghost stories go back over 100 years and many owners. And we've had that happen. Lights will come on when nobody's there. Lights will go off. Electrical things seem to be associated with the supernatural. Now, that makes me kind of wonder about what happens if you're adding electricity into an event, and that's what this is all about. Does it work? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I'm still playing with this. And that's what interests me most. Ghost hunting is experimenting, trying to find out what works and new things that work, and actually playing around with a field that we know nothing about. I mean, we really don't have a lot of answers when it comes to ghost hunting, and if this helps, I would like to experiment with it. So that's what this is all about. I'm going to show you how to build one of these. Now, before we get too far into it, let me explain something that happened in our house. We've had a number of TV shows come film here, ghost-themed TV shows. We had one particular one. They contacted us and talked to the producer, and I kind of feel like they bamboozled us. I think they weren't completely, well, I know they weren't completely honest with us, because as it turns out, they weren't filming a paranormal investigation. They were trying to make fun of paranormal investigators. So they had two paranormal investigators and a film crew here. Well, when the investigators came in, first thing they did, like any reputable paranormal investigators, a new place, the first thing you do, take out the old batteries, put in new batteries, freshly charged, ready to go, take everything out, put everything in brand new. I watched them do it. Well, one of them had an EMF meter, the K2 kind of thing that you see, and the other had a video camera with a little screen, and they were walking together through the house, and there was a cameraman from the TV show behind him, and I was kind of walking with him. As we're going through, suddenly, at the exact same time, the EMF meter pegs. The screen on the video camera just goes to static. It was gone. And then, boom, both objects died simultaneously. Now, I don't have an explanation for that other than something supernatural. However, when they put it on the show, and you can actually see that happen on the show, but then they cut to a scientist in a lab coat, and his explanation is, well, batteries die all the time. Come on, everybody's had batteries die. And if you believe in Bigfoot, then Bigfoot caused them to die. And if you believe in aliens, then aliens caused them to die. And if you believe in ghosts, then ghosts caused them to die. And I'm sorry, these two things with brand new batteries went out at the exact same time. So to me, there seems to be a link between the supernatural world and electricity, and why not? Look how much electricity is in our bodies. It helps our muscles move. You got brain synapses talking to each other up there. It makes your heart beat. We are filled with electricity. When we die, what happens to that electricity? Some people say, oh, it's given off in a form of heat as your body decomposes. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it goes somewhere else. I don't know. It's all part of the fun experimenting for me with electromagnetic and magnetic forces. So that's what we're going to build today. Now, first, let me do a commercial for JB Weld. I do not own stock. They are not paying. I am endorsing them just because they make a heck of a product. JB Weld is great. Now, they have one that's a little bit faster setting called JB Quick Weld, and that's the one I use for all my DIY projects. It comes with two different tubes. You squirt a little bit out of each tube and mix it together with a toothpick. It sets up in 6 minutes, and in just a couple of hours, it's dry. So I highly recommend this. A lot of DIY ghost hunting stuff you'll see online, they use just regular craft glue, these craft glue guns. And to me, it's not as permanent a thing. So I really like JB Weld. And you mix just a little at a time. You know, if you squirt too much out, it's going to be solid in 6 minutes. So you're going to have to use everything you squirt out. So less is more in this case. But let's get started. Okay, you saw the pump at the first of this video. Here's the actual craft box. This is a electronics craft box. Very generic. You can drill holes in it. You can put different controls on it. And of course, it's the inside. It's where all the wiring goes. And so the first thing I want to do is put in a 9-volt battery box. Now online, a lot of these projects, they have these external battery boxes that, tape to the outside or glue to the outside. And I just don't think that looks as professional or elegant. So I use these that are actually made for guitars. They are actually made to hold 9-volt batteries, and they are recessed, I should say, to fit inside the guitar itself. And they're perfect for what we need. And here's one of them on the left of the box right there. Now let me turn it over, and you can see that it's got a little chamber about the size of a 9-volt battery, but the outside, the lip around the top of it, extends. So you cut a hole in the box the size of the battery holder, and then the top lip covers up anything that, jagged or stuff that happened when you were cutting it out. So I think it's a great solution. The first thing I do is get some tape, some painter's tape off the size of that 9-volt battery box. And you can move the tape around, make it bigger, smaller, measure it by putting it up there. But once you've got what you need, then you want to drill 4 holes, 1 in each corner, and make the drill big enough to have a jigsaw blade go in it. Now, we're going to cut it out with the jigsaw blade, but get a fine metal cutting blade. The big jagged ones that you see, they can splinter the plastic and really not look as good. So get the finest jigsaw blade you can find, put it in one of the holes, start cutting until you cut out the entire little rectangle. You can trim it up as you need by, putting the battery holder in there to size it. But when you get through, it should fit in snugly, just like this. When that's ready, I take the tape off, and the battery compartment is ready to go. Now the next thing. I hate this. I really do. You've got to drill a 3/4 inch plug into the project box. And I'm telling you, this is the hardest part in every DIY ghost hunting thing I've built. I have a 3/4 inch blade that you see here, a drill bit, I should say. And I drill that kind of in the middle of the top of the box. But it's made for cutting wood. So when it starts going through plastic, it's too, like sharper, I guess, something to, but it grabs it and kind of bends it up, and I end up having to get a knife and do some cutting and sawing, and, it's a pain. It really is. But when you get it done, the little on-off switch, and again, all these things are on DIYghosthunting.com. Between the links to different videos, you'll see underneath a list of parts from Amazon. So it's easy just to go through, throw them all in your Amazon account, and have them sent to you. Well, with both the battery holder and the on-off switch cut, it'll look like this. And then I drill one more hole. And that's at the other end. It's a 3/16 inch drill bit that goes in, and that's where the LED is going to come out. Now, it's not quite big enough for the LED, so once I drill it, I put the LED through. If it won't fit, I'll put the drill bit in and kind of go around the outside of it just a little bit to shave off a little thin more layer, and I'll keep checking constantly to see if the LED is going to fit it. When I have it where it goes in but doesn't come completely out the other side, it's fitting snugly, I know it's correct. And so I'll go around and put some extra glue around the battery case. I'll put some extra glue around the on-off switch, and then I'll put glue around that LED. And you want to make sure that no glue actually gets on the LED itself. And anyway, when you're at this point, put it aside to dry. Now, also in the list of things that you need for this is a box of motors. They're for toy projects and things like that. And the cool thing is you get all kind of stuff. Not only do you get some motors, but you get little white motor mounts. And then you get different fan blades. And the fan blade I like to use is the big one that you see here. So I'll get the magnets that we use also in the supply list, and I'll put one on one of the little blades, and I'll get an ice pick and make a hole through the center and not all the way through, just enough to start a screw really. So I'll do all 4 blades. This is what it looks like. Now, the screws that come with those magnets, and they are supplied, but they are not really appropriate because they're just too long. So what I did was just go to our regular hardware store and looked in their bin and found these 6 by 1/2 inch wood screws. They're 16 cents each, and you only need 4. I always get 5 in case I drop one on the floor and it rolls away and I can't find it. But that's all you need. And then you can start attaching the magnets to the fan blades. Again, it's time for JB Weld. Mix up a little bit, put it over where the hole that you punched is, and then put the screw through the hole in the magnet and put the tip of the screw in where that hole is that you punched. Okay? And screw it down. Do that for all 4 sides and it'll look like this. Put that aside to dry. Now while that's drying, glue one of the motors to the motor mount. These little white motor mounts, they're plastic, perfect for what we need. And I'm going to glue the motor into the motor mount. So again, some JB Weld around the inside of the mount. I'll put the motor through, wipe off any excess JB Weld. And if you notice, the bottom of the motor kind of has a little part that sticks out, the bottom of the spindle. And I want that to be flush with the bottom of the holder so that it can rest easily on the bottom of the case that we're using. All right. Now, having done that, put that aside so that that can dry. Now, still working on the blade part, the fan. Turn it over, and you'll see the little screw tips coming through. I get some JB Weld and mix it up, and I put a little dab on the bottom of each one. Again, this helps to hold the screws in, which hold the magnets to the blade. Once that's complete, let it dry. And then I go and I trim the blade back some. And this thing is going to be spinning inside the project box. So I want to cut some of the excess from the blades out so it doesn't have to worry about hitting the sides or hitting other things. As you can see right here, I trim that back. And then we're ready to start assembling. I mentioned the fact that you get all kind of stuff with the motors, and one of the cool things you get are these little white clips. And you can put a wire in each end, and it provides connectivity there. Just clip them in. So this allows you to build your project before you start soldering. So you can actually make sure this really works, that you've got everything hooked up correctly. And I use those to do my first build. Here is it's a really, really rough schematic. I am no electrical engineer. So this is what I use. And I also have a link near the product list on DIYGhostHunting.com that you can download this and print it out. But you can see it's a pretty easy thing to put together. So I do the wiring and just check it out. Put the battery in, turn it on, see if everything's still good to go. If it is, then I take these off, twist the wires together, and solder them. I even use some of these little heat shrink sleeves, I guess you would call them, to go over that. And you get your hair dryer and warm them up, and they kind of shrink down on the part that you've actually soldered, and that just helps hold it in place. With all that done, the motor still runs, time to glue the motor in. And this is going to go on the opposite end of the box from where the battery is. Put it down there, make sure everything spins, and if it does, put JB Weld around the bottom of that white plastic holder, some on the bottom of the motor, and press it down into the box itself. And one of the things I do before I press it down is I get some sandpaper and scuff it up underneath it just to give the glue a little bit better hold. When that's done and it dries, then you need to glue the fan blade on. And if you see the bottom of it, you can see the little hole in the middle. Now this is kind of tricky because you don't want to put so much JB Weld. Everywhere else we've just been slathering it on, which I think is great. Here you need to be a little bit more careful, because if you push this down and some of it runs down the spindle, then it's going to actually glue the spindle to the motor and it won't turn anymore. So I just take a toothpick and put a little bit in that center hole, and then I push it on top, push it all the way down, and you can see I tape the wires down so that they don't interfere with the blade. Once that's done, you are ready to go. Now, I do turn it over This thing will walk because you've got a spinning motor in it. So you put it on top of a wooden table, it's going to start walking across the table. So to help kind of slow that down, I put these little felt pads on the bottom. Again, they're in the list on the DIYGhostHunting.com. And at that point, you're done. Now, I like to put decals and things on mine for two reasons. Number one, sometimes I'm working with a paranormal investigation group that I've never done anything with before, and they'll have their own versions of the same things that I have, my DIY stuff, and they look a lot alike, so there's no question as to which one is which because mine has the stickers on it, right? But also I have several things built out of these project boxes, which make them, at a glance, look identical. So this also, just by glancing, tells me exactly what the device is. I also have gone as far as to use a different LED for the on-off light. This one is blue. Another box I use purple. That way, in a dark room, I can tell what device I happen to be looking at. And if you turn it on and it's running, you can see in this picture, I have the standard K2 EMF meter pointing down. It's lit up all the way. But I have a more sophisticated EMF meter, and it also measures magnetic function and, God forbid, radioactive stuff. So the second line is the only one with any value in it when this is running, which tells me this is generating a magnetic field, but it's still putting out a form of energy that lets me experiment with the things I told you about earlier. And to me, that's what ghost hunting is. It's trying new things, experimenting, trying to see what works for me, trying to see what doesn't. So for me, this is a wonderful opportunity at a pretty cheap price to get to try out something new with my ghost hunting. I hope you find it to be the same thing. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks again, and keep checking back to DIYGhostHunting.com. We'll have new things added. Talk to you then.